It is a Friday afternoon, and that can mean only one thing. If you're looking at yours truly and that guy there, and his truly, it is Facebook Live Friday. Brian Milam.
Truly, do you love me?
Brian Milam and Dave Baker. Going to get you ready for this weekend sports events tonight, but we will begin with breaking news, which just came down.
If we had that stinger, it would be something like bom, 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 or whatever it is.
Boom, 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 boom.
Something like that, right?
The old ABC news.
Right.
Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals quarterback, out for the rest of the season with a wrist injury he suffered last night in a loss to the Baltimore Ravens. That means the Bengals are now 5-5, coming down the stretch without their franchise quarterback.
So how many games did he miss at the start of the season?
Well, he had that knee issue in the offseason. It's like the Tennessee Ernie Ford song, if the right one don't get you, then the left one will. So in this case, the knee doesn't get him, but the wrist does.
I don't want to go back to this now or anything, but to date myself, the Bengals franchise began in 1969 when I was 9 years old. And so we were close enough where Bengals players used to always come and speak at the Pee Wee football banquet. Ken Anderson, Bill Bergey, all those guys. And then you get into like the 80s and 90s and beyond. And it seems like every time they had a great pick, somebody gets hurt. Kijana Carter blows a knee in the first regular season game, I think, after his great career. And we could go on and on with those names. And it seems like Burrow had gotten past that. Then you have the thing at the beginning of the year. And now there's just more intrigue because I don't know, you were working, I don't know how much you got to see last night. I happened to be watching. So a number of the TV stations up there in Cincinnati had gotten a hold of a shot, I think which originally was put out by the Bengals themselves on their social media team, where he gets off the team plane and he's got like a brace on his right hand. And so then in the game, first drive, field goal, Ravens score, and then he takes him down the field on a nice drive and throws just a little out pass. I mean, just flicked it to Joe Mixon, about a 5-yard TD. And as soon as it happened, he got down in the Johnny Bench position and was obviously in real pain. And you could see his hand, and it was like swollen and everything, went to locker room. And apparently, according to Zach Taylor, tore ligament. I haven't seen specifically which ligament or whatever, but the announcement was he was going to be out for the season. And so this Browning guy, what's his name?
Browning.
The backup quarterback, Browning. Didn't play badly, but I mean, boy, you talk about letting the air out of the balloon. That was a huge game last night within the division.
Sure.
They're 5-5 now. The Bengals probably had as much anticipation and excitement themselves and around the fan base as they maybe ever have this year. And man, you want to talk about just taking the air out of the balloon.
Adam Schefter, NFL insider.
Shefty.
The guy.
Shefty.
The NFL is investigating why the Bengals did not list Joe Burrow on their injury report when the team posted a picture of him wearing a device on his wrist Wednesday night, and he appeared to be hampered by that injury early in the Thursday night game. The initial picture of Burrow wearing a device, there you go. The blah blah blah.
Couple of different things about that, Brian. And people might be saying, "What's the big deal?" We first got initiated to this when Rich Brooks first came to town, because he would start off every news conference from his pro experience. Right. So and so's out. So and so's questionable. And he was using all the NFL terms. That's what he knew because he'd been in the league for so many years. And the reason is we're just dealing with it now in Kentucky, but it's because of gambling. Sure. There have been so many. Unfortunately, there was the Black Sox scandal in baseball. There was the Kentucky basketball point shaving scandal. There was the NBA thing with the referee Tim Donaghy a few years ago. And so the NFL, while they have gaming partners, they are committed to making sure everything is on the up and up. And so I want to say the Steelers and Mike Tomlin got fined like $75,000 a few years ago for not putting Roethlisberger on the injury report. Sure. It could cost teams draft picks. And so, I'm sure there are people, I'm not saying anybody at this table, but I'm sure there are people that might have been inclined to put a shekel on the Bengals, but they would not have done so if they had known that Joe Burrow was on the injured list.
Jake Browning is the backup quarterback.
Who did not play badly after he came in last night, but Jake Browning ain't no Joe Burrow.
torn ligament, will miss the rest of the season. And the Bengals, God bless them, since Boomer Esiason, they cannot win for losing when it comes to the quarterback position. You get Achilles Smith, terrible career. You get David Klingler, didn't even have. He had more passing yards at Houston in one quarter than he did for the Bengals, I think, his entire career. You get Carson Palmer, who was a very good regular season quarterback, never won a postseason game, then got hurt against the Steelers. He's done. It just goes on and on and on. Then when you get the guy, and now he's done. Oof.
Turk Schoner.
Oofda.
Jack Thompson, the throwing Samoan, are not walking through that door. I'm not going to tell it on the air. One day I will. But as soon as we're done, I'm going to tell you a Carson Palmer story.
Well, right now, as of 7 minutes ago, and I know you guys at home can't see this, but
not really any other
this is Joe Burrow speaking live from the Cincinnati Bengals headquarters.
Stadium.
So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be the lead story for the for the rest of the day.
And Zach Taylor, the Bengals coach, when asked about this after the game last night, why he wasn't on the injury report, said he was not aware that he had any injury.
Part of the job.
Yeah.
I mean, so did Taylor get out there, or did this really just happen during the game?
It makes you wonder, but
it's a heck of a coincidence, right?
You see Joe Burrow right now, and we will have him.
That looks very much like the device that he had on when he got off the plane in that picture.
If not, we're doing as much research as we can about it to figure out what's best going forward.
See, now he's getting ready to have surgery and everything. I'll tell you what Aaron Rodgers would do. Aaron Rodgers would go
to some black room for 4 days.
Besides that, he would be consulting some new age guy over there in Europe or something about blood transfusions or a tendon transfer or something.
I don't know. Well, real quick, let's. We've got a lot of things to do.
Yes,
UK, Kansas, Kentucky. Very few times does UK basketball lose a game, and I think the fan base comes away feeling great about a loss in which a young group. Yeah, you've got a couple of older guys with Reeves and Trey, but a young group that put number one on the ropes and may have even given Kansas a standing 8 count early in the second half, but let it slip away. Your thoughts after 4 days of regurgitating that game?
Well, I would agree with you, but I think John Calipari, when he first came here, would be the first guy that would say, we're not here for moral victories at Kentucky.
No question.
I mean, these young kids played really hard. They play really well together. I mean, they're really streaky shooters. I think that's fair. Streaky good, streaky bad, depending on who it is. But I think they play awfully well together. But when they couldn't close the deal on Dickinson when he came here to visit last summer, even though supposedly he really liked the Jeff Ruby chicken fingers. I mean, actually tweeted about him or something like after his visit. But when they couldn't get him, you know, they've got some great big guys, but you've got to get some clarity on this stuff.
Sure.
By the time we get to next week, we're going to be at about, and I've got to check the date, we're going to be about 1 week out from that time frame that the NCAA allows to get the Zvonimir thing. Once they submitted the application for his amateur status, the clock starts 45 days. And I think this week we were about 2 weeks out. So next week it becomes a week. I mean, I think he's ready to go. I still don't know what the deal. Onyenso is still a couple of weeks away or more. I mean, you got to get those guys back, because as a fan or a coach, you don't know what you're dealing with until you know what cards you're going to have to play. But still, I agree. I think they certainly played better than I thought they would, and I thought the young kids, they executed well. Don't they have like 8 turnovers in 3 games?
Yeah. I mean,
and one of those games was against Kansas. The other 2 were not. But I mean, they don't beat themselves, and that will serve them well down the road.
And I think if you're going to lose an important game like that, you lose it in week 3 or game 3 of the season.
Absolutely.
As you get into January, February, you lose a game like that, then you can talk some.
You do not want to lose the Gonzaga game after the first of the year here on your home court.
Especially if you blow a 14-point lead.
Yes.
But I think.
And remember, Kansas jumped out 9-0. So, I mean, they got the standing 9 count right out the gate.
You think about the swings in that game. Kansas was up early The last big lead they had was 11-3.
Yep.
And then UK goes up by 7. So they outscored them by 15 the rest of the half. Then they outscored them by 7 by 7 more. Then they go up by 22 points from that 11-3 deficit, only to see Kansas roar back and outscore Kentucky by 19.
The best thing I saw from this Kentucky team, besides their resiliency, is everybody talks about when you have all these McDonald's All-Americans or whatever, you're going to have enough basketballs. Guess what? When they saw somebody had a hot hand, they got it to them.
Yep.
They got it to them. Didn't make any difference who it was. I mean, some guys, they'd take a heat check shot, and if they missed it, then they'd get it to somebody else. Sure. And that unselfishness, I think, really impressed me.
Wagner and Edwards only 1 of 18 shooting in the game. And
they got to get it going.
And people will say, yeah, but, look at what Shepard did and with the arrow and Dillingham. Granted, they picked up the slack, but you need your horses
and
to come out of the gate ready to go.
And you can make stats say anything you want. The other thing about Thiero was what? He was like, on that plus-minus stat that they keep, he was like minus 21, despite how well he played, which was the biggest negative number on the team.
And Cal mentioned that after the game. He said, well, he was on the floor when Kansas jumped out to the 11-3 lead. Okay.
That's why it's a plus or minus.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't know. Again, you can make stats.
It's
say
like
whatever
whip.
You want. Don't get me started.
Or yak.
Or war.
Yards
wins above replacement.
Yards after contact.
Yeah. Yards after catch or yards after contact.
Yes.
The yakety yak.
Don't come back.
That's right. Boom, boom, boom. That's right.
Football,
UK and South Carolina. I think it is a must-win for UK. Yes, they're bowl eligible. But I think if you lose to Carolina, a 4-6 Carolina team on the road that has not been good this year, they've won their last 2 games, beating Vandy and Jacksonville State. It diminishes your bowl possibilities. If you lose to Louisville, at Louisville, who's nationally ranked number 10 in the poll.
Who could move up there at Miami tomorrow.
That's right. So, and you could lose to the ACC division champion. That's one thing. You lose to a South Carolina team who's not been good. That could. That's why I think for UK to get the very good bowl game, you win against Carolina. Certainly, you beat Louisville. That helps.
Here's
if
what
you lose to Carolina and Louisville, you're in trouble.
You got Spencer Rattler, who I think didn't he get like the first $1 million deal or something? Or something like that.
That didn't last long. That's why he got out of town.
Ended up transferring and everything. But here's the deal. Shane Beamer was kind of high on the horse last year. Mm-hmm. And if you remember after this Kentucky game, he had some fun at Mark Stoops' expense.
Oh, very much so.
Imitated him.
Very much so.
Should we say made fun of him or had humor at his expense? I'm trying to be politically correct here. By putting on the glasses and dancing in the locker room.
I tell you what, if I'm Mark Stoops.
Oh,
if I am Mark Stoops
that guy,
Saturday.
Oh, my gosh. He's thought about this all. He's going to say he doesn't.
He doesn't.
But that guy does.
I tell you what. If Mark Stoops, with a minute to go, UK's up 2.5
puts
touchdowns,
him on.
3 touchdowns.
Puts him on and starts dancing.
Puts on the shades. Hey, light up a stogie. Go Red Auerbach and just light one up on the field. Oh, that'd be. And then when you go, good to see you.
What was it that Jeff?
Come on, Stoops, you got this, babe.
What was it that Jeff Walls said a couple years ago, talking about Matthew? We don't dance. We just go to Final Fours.
Yeah, that was.
I mean. I'm telling you, I don't think Stoops forgets that stuff.
No.
It's like Eli Drinkwitz from Missouri last week after they thumped Tennessee. He went up to midfield and saw Josh Heupel and grabbed him by the arm and said, "We stand on business." I'm going to tell you something. If you want to get with somebody and just wager like an ice cream cone, I'm not promoting gaming here or anything, but last I saw, for entertainment purposes only, Georgia was only a 10-point favorite against Tennessee. I think they will top rope the Vols tomorrow.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
But Mark Stoops, he is dialed in a way
yes, he is.
That a Youngstown guy,
and
old
he should
school,
be. Oh.
You don't forget. Coaches have long memories, and a lot of us
and Youngstown guys have long memories.
Dadgum right they do.
And he's got his brother. He's got Vince Marrow chirping in his ear.
Who's
about that
basically
stuff?
his brother.
That's right.
Yeah, he won't forget. Stoops, come on, just put the shades on with a minute to go.
Let's go.
But you got to win, baby.
High school tonight.
Tonight, it is the region final matchup. We will be all throughout central Kentucky. Franklin County is at home, undefeated.
They'll be home throughout.
Bryan Station is at home playing Ryle in the 6A. Douglas goes on the road to Mayle. Lexington Catholic is at Rockcastle County. The big LCA goes all the way to Mayfield.
Right?
Lord
Come
have
on.
Mercy. I thought they'd
had a really good year.
They're getting screwed by the worst district in the history of Kentucky high school.
Geographic?
Football. No, not. I can handle a bad.
Because they don't have any competition.
Because they have zero. When you are up 28-0 during the national anthem, you know it's a bad district.
Wow.
W.E.B. Du Bois, Shawnee, and Fort Knox. I don't know what I haven't even looked. I bet they beat them combined 160-7. Maybe.
So did they score their first one when the band came on the field if they were up 28?
I think they scored the first one when they just showed up.
Okay.
And then 14 when the
No,
band.
but your point is well taken. But the big one, as John Short would say.
The big one is Corbin at Boyle County, Class 4A region final. They met last year in the state championship game. They've met 8 times in total.
We were both there. It was an unbelievable game. Unbelievable game.
It was packed, and I don't buy the attendance mark. I think they said it was like 6,600. I was like, no, there's closer to 9,000. I think.
Tommy Ziesmer, who's at UK now, was
he's a man.
Unbelievable. Oh my gosh, he was so big.
Justin Haddix, the Boyle coach, told me 2 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, he goes, this guy's an absolute freak.
Yeah.
He gets tired doing the when you do your bench press,
yes.
you max out. He's like, guys, how many more I got to do?
Right.
I mean, and his arms are that long, so he's got extra distance. He's got
the wingspan, he's got the balance, he's got the strength.
But in my 26 years of TV, 25 and a half,
you're
whatever.
just a kid.
Just trying to be like you, bud. But in my quarter of a century of covering high school sports, in my opinion, this is the biggest biggest playoff game, which is a non-championship game that I will not get to see. Of teams that we cover, teams that you know.
Right.
I know, Corbin's coach Tommy Greer supposedly, if tonight is the last game, that he is going to hang it up and become an assistant principal or a principal or assistant superintendent, something like that.
Something that will increase the salary.
And but these two have met 8 times in all in history. They're 4-4. 7 of those 8 have been in the postseason. And so they know each other well. And
for those of you that can't get there,
if you haven't left for the game now, you better turn off Facebook and go.
Well, I'm going to say that you could also, I'm sure, get it on that NFHS stream.
I think the king of stream is going to be the Ryle Bryan Station game.
But everybody's got that.
You can find it somewhere. Do yourself a favor and watch that game. We will have highlights and post-game reaction tonight on Game Time. But it's going to be, as Keith Jackson would say, the granddaddy of them all. Yes, indeedy, booby. And so, with that being said, what he said. For Dave Baker, I'm Brian Milam. We will see you here in the next couple of hours on WKYT, and also later on tonight on Game Time. Until then, so long, America.